In case you've been living under a rock over the past weekend, Dricus du Plessis is the UFC champion of the world. And Dricus du Plessis is the first South African and African champion of the world. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, there's been other sort of African champions of the UFC, but as Dricus himself says,
I'm going to take a belt to Africa. I'm the African fighter in the UFC. Myself and Cameron, we breathe the African air. We wake up in Africa every day. We train in Africa. We're African born. We're African raised. We still reside in Africa. We train out of Africa. That's an African champion, and that's who I'll be.
And he is completely correct. Dricus du Plessis is a South African. He trains in Africa. He breathes African air. He lives in Africa. And guess what, guys? He is not leaving Africa. He is traveling from here all over the world to become the champion of a particular sport. And why this story is so important is not the fact that he's won. It's wonderful that he has, but South Africa has been winning in a variety of ways for the past few months. We are the Rugby World Champions. We have a UFC champion. We are the beekeeping champions of the world as well. We beat New Zealand in the sheep shearing championships. And on top of all of that, we excel at the Maths International Olympiad. So what you have in South Africa is a retarded state and politicians, yet average South Africans are doing quite all right. And not just all right, they are thriving. They are becoming champions. So you might be thinking, what on earth is going on here? How can we have retardanistan, where we don't have electricity and the politicians are all retarded and there's no jobs and all the rest of it? But on the other hand, South Africans are doing extremely well and performing and becoming champions all over the world in these various disciplines. None of it really makes sense. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, it makes perfect sense. Once you decouple the state from the people, it makes much more sense. Because as we keep saying on this channel, the state is retarded, but the people are okay. I know you wake up and you might think that, this country is pretty hopeless. Who knows what's happening? It's, sad to be a South African. All those things, true, they can matter, but they only matter if you want it to matter. What people like Dricus and the Springboks and everyone else who's been winning so recently, what they are showing is, well, you're not coupled to the state in a material way. Your mindset must be one of decoupling from the state. Once you decouple mentally from the state and retardanistan in general, you become a champion. And even Dricus himself thinks that.
What's your government like?
Our government? I would go the worst government in the world by a long shot. I would say our government is as far ahead in being the worst government in the world than Max Verstappen is at this stage the Formula One champion of the world. I mean, there's just nobody's going to compete with him. We are truly exceptionally being a government. To fix anything that they screwed up this far.
It's going to take lifetimes.
It takes lifetimes. Yeah, it won't be a mine. But, there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work.
Yeah.
Trying to save it. But no, our government is terrible. But I have to say, I do admire the tenacity at which they screw up the country. And
it's so good. It's so bad it's good.
Listen, if you
it's
look
like our
at it,
government.
it's astonishing.
It's actually just all bad, though.
It's not at all like your government.
Ours is pretty bad.
No. You can't even comprehend.
At least your guy knows he's president.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why they take all the money. And he's like,
he takes all our money too, and he sends it to other countries.
But he forgets it everywhere, so you can get it back. Our government is the most corrupt government in the world. I'm 100% certain of that. But
Blood Diamond.
Yeah, our country is amazing. It is an amazing country. It's just
beautiful.
It's beautiful. The people are awesome, amazing. We just have a very government.
So you can see, Dricus is not some airhead that says, kumbaya, Rainbow Nation bullshit. No, he's like, no, our government's dumb, and they steal everything, and they're the worst government in the world. And he can say that as an athlete because guess what? He doesn't get government funding. He doesn't get any government support. He doesn't give a shit about anything. But he cares about the country because he keeps flying the South African flag whenever he is fighting. That flag does not represent the retardanistan government. It represents the country. And I know the EFF will say this guy is a settler. And I know that the PAC will say this guy should be shot because he's white, etc., etc., etc. But 8 out of 10 South Africans would look at Dricus du Plessis and say, listen, this is a hero. This is a South African champion. We need to support him. And fundamentally, that's what makes this place such a great place to live in. Despite all the issues we are facing at a state level, despite the fact we live in retardanistan, you still have these South Africans going out and becoming champions all over the place. So the essential morning shot lesson of the day is, why not have Dricus du Plessis' mindset? when meeting your day. Ignore the load shedding, ignore the crumbling economy, ignore the unemployment rate. Just focus on yourself, focus on becoming the best you can be, and who knows, you might become a champion of the world one day. And you have so many of these heroes who go unnoticed throughout the year. Hopefully this video has demonstrated a little bit that some heroes are worth talking about, and some heroes are heroes just because they care about the nation, but not about the government. They care about you, not about the politicians. And guess what? That is a wonderful lesson to learn from Dricus to Plessis.